Hello and welcome back to Up the Villa podcast. This is our tactical debrief for Fulham 1, Aston Villa 2, where we take a deep dive into Aston Villa tactically. We look at average positions, we look at passing networks, we look at still images from the game. We'll just get more of a tactical feel from the performance that we've just watched. Justin, you are back from Craven Cottage. How are you, mate?
Brilliant, absolutely loved it. First visit there, and I can't wait to go back, to be honest. It's a lovely part of the world, that's for sure.
To be fair, there's not many Villa fans that probably say, I'd love to go back, because generally we don't actually do that good there. So maybe, I know you were wearing your lucky socks anyway.
Do you know what,
So
as well? I haven't, I've won every away game I've been to this season.
need to keep going. But our away form is looking a lot better as well. And that
Yeah.
sort of myth was going around that Villa's away form was not so great. It's looking a lot rosier now anyway. So we've got quite a few things that we're going to talk about on this episode. And first of all, I really want to talk about Pau Torres, because he was absolutely incredible. So before I get Justin's thoughts, I'm just going to dissect a part of Pau Torres' performance. And then I'm just going to let Justin follow that up by waxing lyrical about Pau Torres. So here we go then. So here we have the Ollie Watkins second goal and the importance of Pau Torres. So we all know that Pau Torres is really progressive and he's got a killer pass, and the pass that he's looking for quite a lot of the time is a passing to Jacob Ramsey. And we saw that in this game anyway. We saw that passing to Ramsey. Ramsey turns, Ramsey drives, and Ramsey's in his best position when he's attacking and dribbling. So here you can see from this still images, Pau Torres has picked up the ball. Now, the importance of Pau Torres is not only his passing ability, it's the fact that he steps out and he brings the ball out from the back. So in this instance, you can see already that Pau Torres has beat Pereira, stepped out on Pereira, and is now venturing into a midfield area. As you can see from this image to start with, we've got two Fulham players who are pressing and looking to stop that ball into Jacob Ramsey. So they're doubling up on Ramsey, but they're cutting out that passing lane. But the beauty of what Pau Torres does is he steps out, drags 1, 2, 3. So these two Fulham players press Pau Torres, and Pau Torres plays this little beautiful ball into Douglas Luiz. And this move here highlights perfectly the key attributes and the reason why Pau Torres is so good in this Aston Villa side. Not only his passing, but it's his dragging players out of position. So we've got 3 Fulham players now, by having Pau Torres step into midfield, completely bypassed out the game. He then plays that nice little cute pass to Douglas Luiz, who Douglas Luiz is in space. Douglas Luiz rides a bit of a challenge and finds John McGinn in acres of space. John McGinn has got so much time to pick a pass, decide what he wants to do before the ball even comes to him. But note what John McGinn's doing before the ball comes to him. He's looking at where this pass can go. His head is up and he's looking, where can I play this next pass? Next pass goes into Youri Tielemans. Now, just like John McGinn, before Tielemans has got the ball, let's have a look at what Tielemans is doing. Head up, looking where that next pass can go to. We can see here, he's not even looking at the ball. He's looking at Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins finds space, runs off Diop, and then Ollie Watkins' first touch for this goal, the first touch he takes is the strike. And it's a beautiful strike. And all of this comes from this moment of Pau Torres. And it's absolutely incredible. You can clearly see that the tactic that they've employed here is to stop that ball from going into Jacob Ramsey. That they know that Pau Torres can play that ball, that can split through there, and Ramsey would be away into that area. So what they've done is doubled up on Ramsey. But the beauty of Pau, doesn't have to pass it. He can dribble out. And I just thought this was majestic from Pau. And yeah, Justin, talk to me. Pau Torres.
3 words there you've just used. The beauty of Pau. That is what he is. He's a beautiful footballer. He's silky smooth to watch. He's calm. He's composed. It was a joy to watch him yesterday. I absolutely loved. I think I did a little 10-second video of him after about 25 minutes, and I just put it on Twitter. And I just thought, God Almighty, we've missed him. He was incredible. I mean, weirdly, Longley had decent statistics yesterday, probably better than Pau Torres. But what Pau brings to our team is the antithesis of what our team is all about. And this is why we have missed him so much, because everything, the whole style of play, this slow, quick, is summed up perfectly in that second goal. He comes out, draws them out of shape, a nice little ball into somebody of equal footballing IQ, rolls it, 2 really good passes, and then you get a really incisive, quick pass from Tielemans into feet, not even into feet, perfectly into space. And Ollie Watkins does what he's done sublimely this season and finishes off a treat. So, honestly, I'm not. I mean, I've not ruffled a few feathers, but I put a tweet out as well saying that could we at some point be having the conversation of the Paul McGrath, Pau Torres, and that's not disrespecting Ezri Konsa, because I think Ezri Konsa has been phenomenal this season for us, and there's a conversation there to have, I think. But over the next 2 or 3 years, if these 2 players stay with us and continue to play at the level they are, because they are playing at an incredibly high level now. I mean, if they've got another level to go to, then Jesus Christ, that's going to be ridiculous to see. But we've got some very, very special players at our club at the moment, and Pau Torres has really outperformed where I thought his level was, if I'm honest. I knew about him. I knew what he was all about. I knew the reason he was being brought into our club to play this system under Unai Emery, who's had him before. He obviously felt he was perfect to come over. And let's not forget, he's coming into an ultra-physical Premier League, and a lot of players coming from Spain and Italy and Germany, they find it hard to come and adjust as quickly as he has. And, it's there for everybody to see. I think somebody put earlier on that the last 3 games he played in before his injury was the Man City and the Arsenal and the Brighton games, and won all 3 of them. So it's no surprise that he comes back in and we look majestic from the back with what is probably a bit of a makeshift back four with all the injuries we've got. I think, but yeah, glorious to watch. A phenomenal footballer. I could just sit and watch him all game, to be honest. The amount of times he turned inside when he was being pressed under pressure, but the calmness to do it, and then picking lovely 20, 30, 40-yard balls into, lifting over the centre halves and the midfielders into Matty Cash 2 or 3 times. He did that in the first half. Cash was just in acres of space. And because he holds on to the ball for that extra spell of time, that allows them to be drawn in and then bang, hit him, which we've missed a little bit. I think players that come in and took his place have tried to replicate what he does, and they've done okay. But nobody in our team's as good as Pau Torres is doing what he does, which I just hope he's fit for the rest of the season now.
Yeah, I think we've lost only 2 games that he's played all season. So he's so important to how we play. And, some people could say, I don't know, like Rodri's so important for Man City. You could say Odegaard, Rice is so important for Arsenal. But Pau's the equivalent to that for Aston Villa. You take Pau's key attributes out, and we're gonna miss him massively, and that's why he was bought in. That's why we spent so much money on a ball playing centre half, because he's so important to the way that we play, just as much as what Ollie Watkins is scoring goals. I think the one thing about Pau is he's so calm on the ball. He's so cultured on the ball. He makes a touch look effortless, but that touch sometimes can take the ball away from a defender, an attacker, which allows him to sort of play that progressive pass. So everything about what Pau does with the ball at his feet is really, really important. And I think, he's a wonderful player to watch. And like you say, he's only going to get better when this current side get better. Next point that I want to make.
Just before you move on, players of Pau Torres' ability, they're very few and far between. I've seen very few of that quality and level that I think he's at, and he could go up to that are almost 2 and 3 steps ahead of everybody else on the pitch. I think back to when I first started going over Villa, a different position, but Sid Cowans, that when he received the ball, he knew exactly what his next 3 or 4 touches were going to be as he received the ball. And Pau's got that aura about him where the first touch is majestic. The second, if somebody's pressing him, gets him away from that player. And then he's always got 2 or 3 options there to release the ball in, whether it's a short one through the lines or out wide. We've just got to be grateful we've got a player like him. Honestly, I'm so in awe of the bloke. It's unbelievable.
Well, that left-hand side gets more joy with Pau in there anyway. But what it does enable the left-hand side to do is unleash this man, Jacob Ramsey, in the area that we want him doing the damage. He's got the ability to find Ramsey in that sort of Ramsey role, as we should say, on that left-hand side, for him to drive forward. And I think, again, he's another one that he's had injuries this season, but we're slowly now starting to get levels from Ramsey now. Each game he's playing, he's starting to look the Ramsey that was towards the back end of last season. So what were your thoughts on Ramsey's performance?
Yeah, I think he's, again, when you look at Pau Torres, who's been out for a while, and he steps back in and plays his first game, he's straight away at that level. I think Ramsey has struggled to replicate the form of last season. He was obviously out a longer time, and he's a lot younger, a little bit more experienced. And I think each took him time to get his form going. But I think the first few games, he was at 4 or 5 out of 10. We all knew it was nowhere near the level he got to last season. But I think Saturday was definitely getting up to a 6 and a 7. I don't think he's still anywhere near his best, but he's becoming more confident in his game again, which I think he struggled a little bit the first couple of times. He was getting picked off a little bit. He was getting bullied a little bit off the ball. He was losing possession a little bit too easy. He wasn't picking up the right positions. So that muscle memory that players that have got more experience have, where they come back in and almost slot straight back in. He probably hasn't got it as much, but I definitely saw, a lot better movement from him. He was running better with the ball. He was committing more of their players at him. So if you've got a player like him receiving the ball off a player like Torres, who has already drawn, like you highlighted in that first picture, 2 or 3 out to Torres, and then he finds a little ball through to Ramsey, who scares the life out of then maybe 2 defenders that are having to go to him, because he thinks if he beats me here, I'm in trouble. So that's all of a sudden 5 players out of an outfield of 10 that's out of the game. And then a quick ball across to whoever is covering the Tielemans, the McGinn, whoever, Louise, you open them up. I think we saw that with the Bailey effort on goal. I think that was where that run came from. You got a little bit lucky with a couple of little, cannons off players, but he managed to find his way through, bury his way through. And this is what I'm on about. He's drew 2 or 3 to him. Torres has taken 2 or 3 out, and all of a sudden you got an overload on the right hand side. The Bailey's picked the ball up. Watkins has been marked by 1-on-1 in the middle. The left back is worried because if he slots it into Watkins, so he doesn't know what to do. And then Bailey just a little bit of trickery, cuts inside and unleashes a shot, which I thought he was very unlucky not to hit the target. Well, to score off it. So, these players are so incredibly important to the way we play, and we, for 10 odd games before Saturday, we just haven't seen that level consistently from them. But there's definite signs that we're starting to motor up again, get into that third gear again. So still another couple of gears to go, but we're definitely starting to improve again.
Yeah,
at the right
I
time.
said on the player ratings that I was going to highlight something that Longley did very well to make up for the Martinez Longley mix-up, and it was cutting out this cross. Cutting out this cross was so important in this game, and I think Longley's been going about his business very quietly, very under the radar. But Longley, for me, he's looking really good, Justin. Like,
Yeah,
okay, we know he's not Pau Torres. We know he's not Pau Torres. That we can all understand that. But what he is he's a calm defender that very rarely looks flustered. That very rarely makes a massive mistake. And I think the recruitment to get Longley in has been instrumental, really, because while Powell's been out, yeah, we've not played as well, but I think Longley's done really well. You mentioned Powell's numbers. He's more progressive. He's trying more passes
yeah,
into midfield. His accuracy might not be as strong, but 98% passing accuracy for Longley against Fulham. That's incredible. 98. That those numbers are huge, really. And he's defending to cut out this cross. I spoke about before the game that I wanted sort of desire, commitment, aggression, sort of. And that's everything in that picture. That's desire to stick
yeah,
yourself in an area for the cause and block that shot cross, because otherwise Munoz has got a tap in here. So I think Longley needs massive credit. And I also think the whole defensive unit needs massive praise as well. And the team does. We're going to get into Emery towards the end. And so I'll get your thoughts then, Justin, on the overall team performance. Like, I'll put on the screen now our passing network from the game, so you can have a look at it and just talk to me about, Torres, Longley, Cash, Moreno, and then you've got McGinn and Luiz in there. What was your overriding thought of how we played? Because there was a little bit of sort of apprehension going into it with Kamara being out. How can we negate Kamara because he's so important in that sort of screening role for Cash? So overall, how do you think we did?
I think we did really well. I was really impressed with Longley. I thought he had a really good game, and it's very unusual to see two left-footed central defenders playing together. But needs must. And you look back to January now, when there was quite a lot of heavy rumours that he was going to get recalled because he wasn't getting minutes. So that the business Villa did by keeping him now looks being a brilliant bit of business, because essentially we've got an international quality player as fifth choice centre half that unfortunately, he's now having to play and will have to play a lot this season. And if he continues the partnership that Torres showed between the pair of them on Saturday, then I think we're okay. We've gone from panicking, having all these injuries, to I'm not panicking at all. I'd be worried if one of these two was out now. I really don't want any more injuries. We've had enough now. But I think we're okay with these two. I think they're good enough to see us through now.
Yeah.
Honestly, I really do. But yeah, I mean, the big question was McGinn. Was he going to play in the double pivot? The manager pre-game was definitely bigging up Tim Rabunum, so I think we're going to see minutes from him at some point. But as we said in the predicted lineup for this game, you've got to go with your senior players, probably. And that's what he did. I couldn't decide whether he was going to go with Tielemans or McGinn. I felt they were both probably going to play. I actually went for Tielemans in the end. But I do think McGinn, his game suits that role, doesn't he? He's combative. He's got bundles of energy. He loves a tackle. He loves to get on the ball. He loves to make things tick. And providing Tielemans is adding that bit of spark in the final third, which we saw with the assist to the goal. And I think his numbers are very good this season on creating goal-scoring opportunities. So as long as he can keep his levels up, then I think it's a really good first 11. And we said it again on the pre-match, didn't we? That is a really good first 11. We don't want any more injuries, obviously, but if we can keep those all fit and healthy, we're in a very good shape. And I think we played really well under a lot of pressure at a place which has been notoriously difficult for us to go and get results in the past. So you can't even say it was a give me game where we're just, right, we're going to win there, like I probably felt Sheffield United was. This was a tough place to go under a lot of pressure, with teams bearing down our neck. but we performed very, very well, despite what Plank said on Match of the Day. We weren't under a lot of pressure from them. We definitely deserved to win the game, and arguably, barring a ridiculous VAR call and penalty from, you know, I just don't know what he's playing at, knocked him nearly clean out. I think he could have been more comfortable, to be honest. But yeah, we're okay. I think we're good. We're good to go. I think we've got, like I said again on Twitter, I think we've got untouchables here now. We've got a nucleus of 6 players now that we have to wrap in cotton wool week in, week out, and make sure they all play as much as possible in all these key games. And if the others, by that I mean Watkins, Louise, Bailey, McGinn, Emi Martinez, and Pau Torres. Now that's not to decry the other 4 that are in that 5 that are in the team, but those are the really key players. We've seen the likes of Ramsey's and Longlays and Cash and Moreno and Dean. They've got to come in, and their levels have got to be good as well. But as long as those 6 perform at their best week in, week out, I think we can have a really good end to the season.
Yeah, me too. And if you have a look here at what we did to Fulham, Fulham's passing network, we knew Paulinho is their player that sort of gets on the ball quite a lot. But it really breaks down, especially in central midfield. I think we played well in the wide areas, especially Willian when he played first half. I think we really dealt with him pretty comfortably. Robinson is a big threat. I think we dealt with him as well. So I think we played really well. You're comparing passing networks to 2 teams, and ours is a lot more intricate, a lot more triangles, a lot more.
Yeah.
If you want to draw the Villa team on a piece of paper, that's what it looks like. And I think,
perfect.
You can tell the tale of Aston Villa's style through looking at this, and I think that's a testament to Emery and the team. Really, I think if you look at the average positions of both teams together, I think in the central area we really did a job on them really with our midfield players, and I think it's quite fluid now, and it's fluid, but he's half got pace at the top end of that pitch for Watkins. I mean, that Tielemans, that pass for Watkins. Ollie Watkins must be an absolute nightmare to play against because he doesn't give you nothing, does he?
No.
I mean, he does give you a lot. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's everywhere. He's on your shoulder. He can drop a bit deep. He's got a good hold up. His finishing against Fulham was fantastic. Especially that first one. The confidence to sort of go back outside. He didn't go inside with it. He rolled the defender outside and then shot across the keeper. And that's a player that sort of knows where the goal is, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think all top strikers sort of know where the goal is. You see some strikers that can sometimes like scramble around and not really have the ball fully under control. But Watkins seems to like just know where that back of the net is now. And yeah, he's fantastic. And I've shouted out Cash quite a lot this weekend, and a lot of regular viewers will have known that I was sort of wanting him to be more defensive, to be more solid, to be more sort of tactically aware of his surroundings. I think that's probably been one of the biggest criticisms that I'd probably give him recently this season, is that sometimes he just loses himself positionally, and then that makes the team look a little bit exposed. But against Fulham, can't fault him, cannot fault Cash, and hopefully he can now start building on these performances, really. So we've got a couple more topics to go through then. I'm going to touch on one topic now then. It's sort of like where Villa are currently, because I'm looking at this top 4 race now, and I'm looking at the 3 teams that are practically in it at the minute. And you're looking at Spurs dropping points, not playing well. Didn't play well against Brighton. We're very lucky to win that game against Brighton. Quite poor against Wolves. And yes, we've had our little dip as well. United got battered against Villa. They didn't play very well against Luton. Luton were brilliant. You look at Villa's last 3 performances, really, and they're actually pretty good. Smashed Sheffield, should have beat United, and beat Fulham. So Villa at the minute, although the points tally's quite close and everybody's close around it, I think we're doing all right. I'm looking at Man United and I'm thinking they're not controlling games. You know, and I look at Villa, who are controlling games. That's our style, to control games. You know, and we keep doing that in the manner of the next 13 games. I think we're going to pick up enough victories to get this top 4. Whereas I look at United and forget the media, because they will tell you otherwise, because that's just the hype train that Man United bring. That they want to bring that. I'm looking at them Man United performances, and I don't think you can play like that for another 13 games and get more points than Villa. What are your thoughts on that, Justin?
I totally agree. I think Man United are basically really poor at the moment, and they're getting away with murder. I mean, how the referee is not sent off 2 of their players against Luton is just bizarre. I mean, they're 2-0 up Luton, 2-0 down Luton after 7 minutes, and they showed incredible character to get back in the game, and arguably should have got something out of it. And I think United got battered against West Ham, won 3-0. We battered them for 80 minutes at Villa Park, should have beat them. They're getting out of jail at the moment. I mean, the refs are definitely helping them. And funny enough, we bumped into a Spurs fan on the train on the way home yesterday, and we had a good chat about Spurs, and he doesn't want Spurs to get in the top 4 or 5. He didn't want them. He wants them to concentrate on winning cups, which is, a bit strange. But and he highlighted to me, he said, we've got a really, really hard last 5 games. And I looked at it, and they're playing the last 5. They play in a row. They play City away, City at home, Arsenal at home, and then they go to Liverpool. 3 out of the last 5 games. So if we can, that game, obviously every game's important now, massively important. We've got 2 incredibly important games coming up against teams we're hoping to get 3 points out of both. But that game against Spurs is huge, because if we can put space between us and them, and then do okay until the last 4 or 5 games, which isn't that far away now, they've got an incredibly hard 5-game running. Yes, we've still got to City and Arsenal, but if we can have that cushion against them, I think we're going to be fine. And I agree with you. Man United cannot keep playing the way they are and keep winning games. I don't know how they're doing it, but the luck is going to break. I thought it was going to break against Luton, but it didn't. But I'm hoping that they can't just keep picking wins up, because they don't deserve it. I really think they don't deserve it.
Yeah, they won't keep picking up those wins. You know, if you understand football, and I know the refs make it easier for them at times, but if you really understand football and understand how a game goes and how a team performs as a whole, don't just look at like a counter-attacking chance. Look at a game based on control. That they're a million miles off it. The other thing I'll say about Spurs as well is Spurs have got one more game until they play Villa, because they've got a game postponed in the cup. So if we can win that game where they don't play, we could have 5 points on Spurs by the time we play them.
Then
beat Spurs, we've got 8 points clear of Spurs. So it starts opening up. Yes, we want to just take one game at a time, but looking at that general picture of it, I think we're in a great place to do it.
United have got some tough games as well. That they got City away, they've got Chelsea away, they've got to play Man United, they've got to play Liverpool. Sorry, they've still got to play Newcastle, and they've got to play Arsenal. So they've got a lot. We've all got really hard games coming up. So we've just got to keep this momentum going. Pick up. It's incredibly important to pick up points in the next 2 games. 2 wins in the next 2 games puts us, in my opinion, in pole position.
Yeah, I think that, especially that game on Saturday for Villa, I think we've lost 3 games in a row at home.
Yeah, we need that home form back.
That's got to come to an end on Saturday. We've got to get that win. Forest, they're all right, but they're up and down, aren't they? They'll probably feel like they might have done enough now to sort of take them over the line, sort of thing. Still a long way to go, but I think that's how they might look at it. But final thing that I want to end on is Unai Emery, because we talk about Emery being sort of elite, and he's fantastic. But what I've seen from Emery in the last couple of weeks, under pressure, under massive pressure, because injuries have totted up. Big players have been missing. As a Villa fan, looking at Villa's injury list the last couple of weeks, Konsa, Carlos, Kamara, on top of what we've already had this season, for Emery to just not mention it, just crack on, just keep going, be driven, be determined, and to play two left-footed centre halves, to show no sign of weakness, I think is something that I really admire Emery for. I feel confident. I was confident going into last week. You imagine being a player playing for Emery? He would instill so much belief in you. It's unbelievable. And to see us on Saturday, and this is why I think, I was buzzing, especially after the game on Saturday, is because we play two left-footed centre halves. We control the game. We've got a great style, a great identity. You see Vidagani in the tunnel after the game, high-fiving Emery. Monchi's there. There's real collective feel. And I think what I wanted to get from the Kamara injury was that sort of unity and that togetherness. And I really think they've got it. And you saw it in the performance. So Emery tactically is an absolute genius. He's a genius. And you're talking about Pau being one of the best centre halves. This is the best manager we've ever had in my lifetime by a mile. By a mile. Tactically, in game, how he applies himself. You see Gary O'Neill giving it the big one after beating Spurs. You see Arteta, you see all these managers giving it the big one. But Emery's job's not done yet. And he's straight down that tunnel. And I just absolutely love it. I just think he's brilliant, Justin. I really do. I think he's that good. And I'd run through a brick wall for him, and I'm a fan. Do you know what I mean? I'd run through a brick wall to get his autograph. Do you know what I mean? And just imagine being a player and just growing and developing, and especially some of these young players like Morgan Rogers must feel like God, I've literally come from Middlesbrough in like a TARDIS or something, like a time zone difference, like the way he's probably being coached and worked, and how he's probably been told to apply his game, and maybe some certain things that he's so just slowly changing by being coached by Emery. His mind's probably been blown, and he's only been here 2 weeks. So I just think Emery needs huge praise, because I can imagine that it's not been easy for Emery, but he hasn't shown no sign of it being difficult to me, and he just gets on with it, and that's why I love him. Just gets on with it.
I totally agree. I mean, as a young footballer, you must feel like you died and gone to heaven when you're sitting in on tactical briefings, on coaching, methods, and different things he puts on the training ground. On we're doing this today, we're doing that today. This is what we're working on today. We're going to try this, do that. Breaking down the opposition. I think we said it maybe at the start of the season that when they go out on that pitch, they know exactly what they need to do to win that game. They are given every ounce of detail, of information that they need to win that game on that given day. And I think that's all you can ask for as a footballer, is to say that I've been given every single bit that I need to go out and do my job to the best of my ability. And the players that he's brought in have been pretty much hits, all of them. And it bodes really well for us going forward. He has had a lot to deal with this season, a lot to deal with. Like you say, the first, before the first game was kicked, we lost one of our key attackers in Buendia. First game of the season, we get an absolute hammering, and we lose another key player. And a lot of managers could just think, shoulders are slumping. God, no, because he 100% understands that is just football. That is what happens. And yes, you're going to lose games, and yes, there's going to be moments in the season, a long season, where things aren't going to go right. Got knocked out of cup competitions. We've had performances where haven't been good enough. He would know they're not been good enough. But no team is infallible. No team can just win every single game. What you have to do is take it as a whole. And as a whole, over up to now, we've had an incredible season. Nobody can tell me we haven't had an incredible season. He's getting the best out of his players. He's got a really challenging squad now because of numbers that are dwindling. So we're having to rely on players to come in and do jobs for us. And he's getting the best out of them. And it's going to be, we're in for a massively exciting end to the season. You know, the Conference League draw comes up on Friday, I think. So we're going to find out who we get in the round of 16. So that's back on the agenda again. He's still got to balance his squad out for those games and to try and keep this push for the top four going. But I'm here for it all day long, Luke. I'm here for it all day long. Bring me the next game right now. That's what I want.
Final thing I'm going to say is you get that narrative. Does my head in. Like, about, Villa. I'm talking about Curtis Davies, I think, the one that played for Villa that was on Sky yesterday for the United game. And they're talking about the top four race, and he's going, who's going to drop out? The question was, and he said Villa, and he was like, yeah, but Villa, if Villa get some injuries to some of their big players, how are they going to cope with that? Okay, so we've got no idea about Konsa being out, Carlos being out, Kamara being out, and he then mentions Europe. One thing I'll say about Villa in Europe is when we were playing in Europe, we were churning out them wins. We were winning in Europe. We were winning away. We were winning in Europe. We were winning away. If anything, European football stopping was really when Villa's form has dipped off as well. So, December, from now until December, when Villa's form was a little bit scatty, bringing Europe, we can deal with playing in Europe and then the Premier League because players just want to play football and not having much time in between to just go Europe, bang, day off, bang, prepare for a game. We're fine. We're absolutely fine. So I actually think Europe's a really good thing for Villa because we've shown so far this season that when we do play in Europe, play in the Premier League, we win out all our games. So, it's just one of them, innit? I think it's really frustrating that, what the media can be like, but we've seen it all season, really. There was a graphic that Sky put up yesterday, and they put the top four race or the title race, and no, they put the title race on, and generally they've been doing the top three, but because Spurs weren't in the top four anymore and they dropped down to fifth, they put fifth in there as well. And I was just like, you've only done that because Spurs weren't in that graphic and you didn't want to leave Villa in it on your own. So, yeah, frustrating. But I think bring back Europe. I think the draw's on Friday at 12 o'clock. So it'll be exciting to see who we get. So, yeah. But finally, Justin, well done to you, my friend, for making the Fulham programme. We had a nice little email from Fulham Football Club a couple of weeks ago saying, we'd like you to be in our programme. And Justin had a 2-page spread in the programme. So, yeah, really good. It's great to see sort of a Premier League club getting involved with the pod. Do you know what I mean? When Fulham FC dropped in my inbox, I was like, Christ. So well done, Justin. I have put the article in our community hub. So if you want to go and have a little look at the spread and Justin's mug shot in there, you'll be able to see
I just wish I'd back the bloody result. I tipped up. I tipped up 2-1 Villa, Watkins to score. I never put any money on it.
Oh, God. Right. So hopefully you've all enjoyed it. A little bit of a longer episode from us. We'll start our content get rolling as well this week with the Forest. I'm sure it's going to be really positive. We're going to get Forest Fan TV, so our mate Wolfie will be back on, so it'll be great chatting to Wolfie. So, yeah, we'll get him on. I'm going to do something a bit different this week with the predicted lineup. So I've got something in my mind, something a bit different to change that aspect of that. So, yeah, hopefully I'll do it first. I think I'm going to do it. But, yeah, hopefully you're going to enjoy that. So just cheers everyone for enjoying the content. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.